How does this... Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Totally Awesome Podcast so bad it might just make you tap out. I'm Josh Ageddon, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the man with all the power, too sweet to be sour, the Bay Area brawler, Skylar Greenberg. What's up, Skylar?
CM Punk's favorite fan. You know, he loves me. I spend time with him. We talk about hockey and wrestling and all that stuff, and how much Joshua wishes he could be with him.
Yeah, I do. For those of you that don't know, Skylar went to that New Japan show, that Battle in the Valley show that was in California, and he got to take a picture with CM Punk, and we're going to put that right here. I'm not jealous at all. Not at all.
You wish you could be Phil Brooks' bitch.
Yeah, I would love for him to put me in the Anaconda Vice. The Anaconda don't. The Anaconda don't. Anyway, so we're doing SCCG Palmetto Power episode 13 while we get that uncomfortable visual out of our minds. And this is also the second time that we're trying to record this because we got about a fourth of the way through last time, but Skylar had a little bit of an emergency, and then I accidentally deleted the entire audio file. But we're trying again! Isn't that right, Skylar?
Second verse, same as the first.
Yes, absolutely. And also, this is a part of ACPW versus NWL. Go subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast, like, comment, subscribe, all their stuff. That's great. Shout out to Sean McCarty, the leader of the colony. So,
who could not be here because he's currently ripping that fat bong.
Yes, that is his favorite thing to do. And the last episode, we did the draft, got a bunch of new people, and I'm very excited because I guess this is kind of the start of Season 2 of SCCG. I kind of started a little late, as we know, and by that point, Sean and Skylar had already bought up most of the territory, and I was left with some scraps.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to book Ryback in 2023?
I mean, unless he's jobbing, I don't see the value in that. Because watching him lose and lose and lose is very satisfying. So my hope for Season 2 of SCCG as we go into our next pay-per-view, which is going to be Clash of the Carolinas, my hope is, just bringing in the newer faces, the new warm bodies, and just kind of making the show feel bigger, more important. Because, again, while I do appreciate Season 1 for what it is, it was more just a setup for what SCCG is going to be about, the format, the way it's going to feel, the way it's going to flow, the faces that you're going to see. Just more of that, except just bringing in some bigger names.
Well, the whole thing is that you're setting that foundation so that way you can build on better ideas and better ideas.
Yes, exactly. So, again, this is our 13th episode, and a couple of house cleaning things before we begin with the show today. There's only going to be 4 episodes of Palmetto Power before the next pay-per-view, so there's going to be 13, 14, 15, and 16, and after episode 16 is going to be Clash of the Carolinas. And this episode of Palmetto Power takes place outside of the Carolinas. We're expanding a little bit. Our girth is expanding, kind of like Chris Jericho. We are here in Sanford Stadium in Georgia.
Going down south, baby. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowgirl. I like some country fried ass women. Thank you, Sean, for that lovely gem. And again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about... Hardcore country! If you don't know what we're talking about, you have not been listening to the Court Martial Podcast, and you should be ashamed. And, of course, we have Taz and Todd Grisham as our head commentators. Going to run through the card real quick for this show. We have 8 matches. So our first match is going to be 2 new people that we got from the draft, one of which was a trade. We have Chad Gable versus Pete Dunne.
He's no longer a Shorty G.
And that is a guarantee. This poor fucker. Everywhere he goes, like, he's so good. He's an Olympic wrestler, and he's just a meme. The whole shoosh thing. Thank you.
I mean, if he was 3 inches taller and actually won the gold medal, then he'd be Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and bald. That is true. Our second match is going to be a women's division match. Layla Hirsch versus Liv Morgan.
I still hate the fact that you hired Liv Morgan.
You were gonna give her to me as a fuck you Joshua pick, so I don't want to hear it.
No, I was gonna give you Sasha Banks as the fuck you pick.
Well, honestly, who would I rather have between Sasha and Liv Morgan? I honestly don't know. Probably Sasha because she can.
If you were a realistic promoter and you wanted to bring in the most people, Sasha Banks would bring in the most people.
Yeah, I mean she can kind of work when she feels like it. I just don't really.
I mean, she worked during that New Japan show. It's just getting her the work is the problem.
Yeah, you have to pay her all the money that she wants. We also have match 3: Ricky Starks versus Curtis Axel.
If there's anybody that I'm looking excited to use in SCCG for season 2, it is no doubt, hands down, Ricky Starks.
There's a reason why I drafted him number 1. I absolutely I am a fan of Ricky Starks. I'm not a fan of where he is at the moment, which is all embarrassment wrestling. But we'll see what we can do with the mirror. And the last match of the undercard, because everything I've just mentioned is part of the undercard. Last match of the undercard, We Weren't Entertained's Primo and Epico versus Mustache Mountain.
Which would be an interesting tag team match in 2023.
It honestly would. Although I would like to see, Prime 2011 Primo and Epico versus Mustache Mountain. I feel like that'd be a great match.
Yeah.
And the mid-card of the show. Kicking off the mid-card with a cruiserweight match. Skylar, I'm going to treat you real good with this one. Ilya Dragunov versus Darby Allin.
Now, here's the thing, is that when I heard this match the first time, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know I need this until my life, until it got it right in front of me.
Yeah.
Inject this shit into my veins.
I know, right? I wouldn't call it a dream match because it wasn't Kenny Omega and the Mexican guy who's Vikingo. I was about to say I couldn't remember his name. It's not the level of that kind of dream match. But I would also loosely and liberally throw around the phrase dream match every time there was a match I was like, ooh, that could be good.
Well, the only reason why that match was a dream match was because it was supposed to happen in 2021 and it got canceled and we waited 2 years. So suddenly, now that we're getting it, it's a dream match.
But Skylar, it has Kenny Omega, and it was longer than 10 minutes, and they did moves.
And the guy was 5'3", did flips, and landed on the back of his head while doing a somersault through the ring to a table to Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I don't recommend that. Unless you like concussions. or some kind of cranial hemorrhage.
I would like some cranial hemorrhage, but that's another point for another day.
Jesus. Okay, that's... all right.
Oh, come on. You would not pass up the opportunity to go to Tony Khan and cause some brain damage, would you?
Yeah, I would be like, hey, you want to hire brain damage from CZW? You already brought in Nick Gage.
I thought brain damage was John Moxley's nickname.
That's what his
or maybe that's CM Punk's nickname for John Moxley. I don't know.
Oh God, why any of what AEW is? That whole controversy with John Moxley, CM Punk, and all that over the past week, but it's just unfortunate. But anyway, what is not unfortunate is our 6th contest. So before the show, and actually before the cameras turned on, a challenge was issued from We Weren't Entertained. Ron Killings and Tyrus challenging the Gold Business, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, for the SCCG Tag Team Championships, and they accepted, so we're going to have a tag team title match here tonight. And of course, our last match of the mid-card, we have Piper Niven versus Mercedes Martinez, SCCG Women's Championship #1 contender match.
See, those 3 mid-card matches, without even telling the main event, could easily be pay-per-view level matches with the right promotion and the right hype.
Exactly, and I honestly feel like some TV shows could stand to have more pay-per-view quality matches. Not going full-out crazy, having 100 finisher kickouts, but just give them a solid amount of time, put them on TV, and honestly, I wish... Because, especially with Raw, and sometimes SmackDown, it feels like they're just putting... people together, and it's just a whatever match, and it just feels kind of cold, and no one really cares.
Because everybody knows that nothing major is going to happen on TV.
Yeah, and that's why no one watches it. So
I mean, we just had this thing that happened where Cody Rhodes wrestled Solo Sikoa on Raw. Mm-hmm. Did you know that match was happening?
Yes, I actually did, because I care about what Cody Rhodes is doing. I don't know what any of the other matches on the card were, because it's Raw, and nothing else really matters.
Point, right?
Yeah. I knew of one match in a 3-hour show.
Like, there was that one match that happened a couple weeks ago with Bayley and Rhea Ripley, and normally I would be all in for that match. I mean, that's why I booked it for one of my NWL shows.
Yeah, I watched it, and surprise, surprise, it was pretty much silent.
Well, not only that, but the match itself was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a chemistry thing, because I know that Bayley and Rhea Ripley haven't worked together that much, or if it was just like miscommunication or something like that, but that was not a good match.
I feel like it's more a victim of booking and time constraints, and they were trying to get the best out of what they were handed. I mean, put them in a decent spot and give them time. I am confident that Bayley and Rhea Ripley could put together a decent match.
But it was not going to happen on that Raw, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But anyways, to the main event.
The main event of the evening. Skylar, are you familiar with the Championship Scramble match?
I mean, that's what I eat for breakfast every single day. I just have 6 dudes come over, and we all get together for 25 minutes, and I'm kidding.
Wow, okay. I was about to say, I don't scramble my eggs, I try to set my house on fire with them. But, fun fact, I almost burned my house down a couple days ago because I put salt and oil in the frying pan, and it caught on fire.
No,
and then I put it in the sink, and turned the sink on, and it exploded.
No, this motherfucker proceeded to heat up oil and salt in a frying pan, and then it started getting a little too hot, so he put water on it, cold water. And what do you do, folks, when you put hot oil and cold water together? You get fire.
No.
And then this guy tried to walk outside with the fire in order to get rid of it.
Yeah. Not my brightest moment. There's a giant black mark on my ceiling now. Because it exploded.
Which a picture of it will be shown right here.
This is the kitchen where I almost set my house on fire. And there's the black mark.
And then here's a picture of Joshua's hand afterwards.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't have my smartest moments, but... So anyway, back to SCCG.
But yeah, the Championship Scramble is a match concept that I wish WWE would do more. Basically, 2 people start in the ring, and then every 5 minutes, another competitor comes in until everybody's out. And then if you get pinned or submitted, the person that gets the pin or submission is the winner until someone else pins or submits somebody else. There's no eliminations.
Yeah, there's no eliminations. It's just constant, and it's like whoever. It's basically who has the baton by the time the clock runs out.
Yep.
So our main event tonight is a 6-man contendership scramble match where the winner will face Anthony Corelli at Clash of the Carolinas for the SCCG World Title. We have John Morrison, Tommy End, the Internet Champion Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, Tetsuya Naito, and a mystery man in our main event. Who will be challenging Anthony Corelli at Clash of the Carolinas? And since it's
we'll have to find out who the mystery man is. It could be anybody.
Yeah, and so normally a change.
My God, it's Bobby Lashley.
It's Bobby Lashley. Oh my God. So
I'll be a son of a bitch.
It's Vikingo. Immediately 5-star match. So usually.
Imagine if you could.
Well, I might. I would need to see more of his stuff because again, I don't really know much about that dude. But
well, he's 5'3", he does flips, and he's Mexican.
That about sums it up. And apparently every match he's in is a dream match because thus saith our Lord and Savior Dave Meltzer. But yeah, normally championship scramble matches.
Lord and Savior Tony Khan.
Yeah, the two lords and saviors. So anyway, championship scramble matches are usually a 5-person match, so it goes 25 minutes. Since this is a 6-man match, it's going to go 30 minutes. It has a 30-minute time limit. All right, so we begin with our opening contest. No promo to kick off the show. We're kicking things off with some action, ladies and gentlemen. We have Chad Gable versus Pete Dunne. 15-minute time limit, first match of the undercard. Who you got, Skylar?
Now, Shorty G or Chad Gable is a known quantity, but I feel like because Pete Dunne is the new guy, you're going to want to get Pete Dunne over. I'm going to say 10 minutes.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, this match, you're close enough, close. I'll give you some of those Price is Right rules. This match goes 9 minutes, and before the match starts, Chad Gable comes out in basketball attire. And everyone's like, what? But then he rips off the basketball attire, revealing some, more traditional wrestling attire, picks up the ripped up basketball attire, and kicks it off the stage. Basically shedding his skin. And because I want to take him a little bit more seriously here in SCCG. So, again, the match goes about 9 minutes. It's very technical. And here's the finish. Pete Dunne goes for the bitter end, but Chad counters it into a DDT, spikes him on his head. It looks disgusting. Goes for that beautiful moonsault, but Pete Dunne gets the knees up, tries to go for the bitter end again, but Chad Gable slides down the back, pushes him into the corner, gives him a beautiful Chaos Theory German suplex. Bridge 1, 2, 3. Chad Gable is your winner.
But what's the name for that move that you came up with?
The G-plex?
Oh.
Getting you right in the G-spot?
Oh.
Fluids are flying everywhere. The women are throwing their babies up into the air, celebrating.
I called it the guarantee, and then he was like, the G-plex.
Yes.
Just because he wanted to get right to the G-spot.
Yeah, because in NWL, Chad Gable used he was in the NWL, right?
He was in HBW, and he's been in all three of our companies.
Oh, he's been in all three of them? Oh, yeah, okay. So basically his finishing move...
Like, he belonged to Sean first, but I always asked if I could borrow him so I could have him be in, like a mid-card heel jobber spot.
Yeah, so...
And it's just fun.
Yeah, and basically his finishing move has been an inverted angle slam. Two things. One, I don't want to tie him that much to Kurt Angle just because, he's a former Olympian. And... I just don't like the idea of an inverted angle slam. I feel like that would just look weird. So I'm
not to mention that German suplex that he does, the Chaos Theory. It's one of the most devastating moves that he never pulls out.
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous. It gets me in my G spot, which is why I call it the G-plex. It's great. That's going to be his finishing move.
But I hate that name so much.
Makes me love it more. So moving on. Okay, real quick before, and there was a commercial break in the middle, and we did have one commercial break, but it came back and then we went to the finish. So we go backstage, and I'm going to do something a little different here, because back in the day in TNA on Impact, they would every once in a while have a segment where basically a cameraman would be hiding backstage and would catch people doing stuff. Because normally you have two people doing a promo and you just have to pretend that the camera's not there. I don't really like doing that, because it just comes off as kind of hokey. Still having a camera, having found footage is still a little hokey. I just feel like it's less hokey. So we have a camera backstage, and it has caught footage of We Weren't Entertained, all of the members backstage hanging out preparing for the show because they have two big matches as far as the Primo and Epico versus Mustache Mountain match and Ron Killings and Tyrus going for the tag team titles. So the world champion Anthony Corelli, he's like, alright, so not gonna lie, this is Spartanburg didn't exactly go exactly how he wanted to. I mean, I walked out with my world title. I won the triple threat ladder match, and in the heat of the moment, things kind of went off the rails. I said some things that I didn't mean. I mean, it would have been wonderful if Primo and Epico would have won the tag team titles, but what can you do? I apologize for going off the handle. I apologize for snapping, and Primo and Epico were like, "Oh, we understand. We're pissed too. We almost won the titles, but." I mean, we still have a chance to build some momentum tonight and introduce the newcomers to We Weren't Entertained with a big defeat, showing them why we are the most feared faction in SCCG. And Ron Killings is like, hell yeah. And don't worry, Primo and Epico, we're going to take those tag team titles, so don't you even worry about it. And you're not going to have to worry about it either, Anthony Corelli. Just leave it all to us. And Anthony's like, okay, just no more screw-ups, though. We've got to be serious. We can't start losing momentum now. We need to get as much gold as possible. And they're all in agreement. And Tyrus says nothing because that's the best thing that Tyrus can do is just stand there and do nothing.
I mean, he did that for most of his career.
And it was great, him standing there doing nothing, because when he does stuff, it's like when he wins the NWA World title, it's not so good.
Yeah. I did, feel there's something not right there in WWE land.
Yeah.
There's definitely a tension, especially with Primo and Epico, because they didn't get the job done.
Yeah.
And also, of course, because Anthony Corelli is a control freak.
Yes, he absolutely is. He wants to have all the momentum and all the gold because, I mean, he feels like if they start losing, if any of them start losing, are those chinks in the armor. So
possibly. I just wish you had a better name for that stable because I hate that name.
I mean, we will see. We will see. I do have plans, so don't lose faith just yet. But yeah, definitely sowing some seeds that they're trying to play face here and act like everything's hunky-dory and everything's okay, but you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of tension.
Yeah,
so,
And by the way, the name is not bad. It's so funny. It's so ridiculous. Like,
yes.
Joshua, like, your humor sucks.
Yeah. Dude, trust me. I have almost 10 years of videos that is just nothing but evidence to the fact that I have, of all the senses of humor out there, I definitely have one of them. But
sure
anyway.
You do.
But anyway, so we were supposed to go to our second contest, Layla Hirsch versus Liv Morgan. But before that could happen, we have a little bit of a disturbance because Hook walks out, and he has a microphone, and he looks furious. Now remember, add this to Spartanburg during all the Cruiserweight title confusion after Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Darby Allin. Zack Sabre Jr. slapped Taz in the face, who was just doing commentary. So Hook is not happy about that because that is Hook's father. So Hook gets into the ring, and he says, I'm going to just cut right to the chase. Zack Sabre Jr., get your ass out here right now. We have business. Don't waste my time. Get out here right now. You British piece of shit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, dear. So it takes a second. And another thing, not going to do any music cues whenever they come out. Not going to turn their Titantron on because I hate it when they do that in both of the companies. I'm going to call this person out. Wait a few seconds. Their music hits, then they come out. No, it's going to be silent, and then eventually Zack's going to come out. And he has a microphone, he's like, and he has his Cruiserweight Championship around his waist, and he's like, you look awful pissed off, Hook. Does it have anything to do with the fact that I'm holding this championship and you're not? Does it have anything to do with the fact that I was actually on This Is Spartanburg and you were just on the pre-show? Or does it have to do with the fact that I slapped a better version of you after my matchup? How long are you going to be in your father's shadow? You know, everyone says that I should be afraid of you because you are on my level as far as being a technical wrestler is concerned. Well, maybe you would be more in my level if you would step out of Daddy's shadow. And Hook's like, enough with the crap. I don't care what you think about me or my ability. You put your hands on my father, and you're going to pay for it. So Hook just slams down the microphone and starts leaving the ring. And then some security comes out to try to separate them. And Zack's like not trying to get into it. He's just being a dick. So Hook is trying to get to Zack. And even Taz gets out from commentary. And Taz has to go over up the ramp to get his son back. And he's like, it's all right. Listen, don't do anything foolish. Just calm down, son. And he's trying to calm his son down. Meanwhile, Zack is still mouthing off. And then we go to commercial break. They don't really come to blows. But it's starting to get a little intense between these two.
There's something about Zack Sabre Jr. and his stupid British accent that like comes across as condescending. I've never liked him as a face. Always preferred him as a heel.
Absolutely. There's no way. Like, I love Zack Sabre Jr. He is not a babyface at all. I mean, he's Square Jaw McGraw. So there's no way you can have him not be a heel. But, again, I'm pushing the idea of him trying to get Taz involved, and that is going to be a developing story between these two for the Cruiserweight title.
Very much. I'd like to see it.
Oh, yeah. So, we go to commercial break, and then we come back, and now we have the match that was supposed to be in progress before it was interrupted by Hook. So, anyway, we have match 2. Layla Hirsch versus the debuting Liv Morgan. Who wins, and how long does this 5-star classic go?
Ever since I was a little girl, I didn't want to see this match.
I'm not going to waste any time. This match goes 3 minutes. Layla Hirsch wins via submission with the cross armbar. Fuck you, Liv Morgan. You're a jobber.
It should have been longer.
No. I don't...
No. You should give him a 15-minute classic.
Could you imagine putting Layla Hirsch and Liv Morgan together and giving them 15 minutes in real life?
That pre-show match that Layla Hirsch had with Chris Statlander on the pre-show, what was it, like 2022 Revolution was terrible.
My God. Like, I still think Layla has a ton of potential, but you've got, like, for right now, she's still kind of green. You can't put her in there for very long. And I'm just putting her in there to squash Liv Morgan.
Well, Liv Morgan, you're going to look good on the mat a lot because that's all you're good for.
And, yes, when she had her in the armbar before Liv Morgan tapped out, she came. Anyway, moving on. So, as they're mopping up the ring, we go backstage with our good friend Josh Matthews.
You had to cut to an interview because, like, there's too much water here.
That's not water, ladies and gentlemen. That's something else. Josh Mathis says, joining me at this time, newly joining SCCG as far as the SCCG draft, we have Mandy Rose, Gigi Dolan, and what's the name of the third person again? I can't remember. What's
JC Jane?
JC Jane. I heard her name literally flew out of my brain. So we have Toxic Attraction, and Mandy Rose walks up, and she looks super confident, and so does her two buddies here. We have Toxic Attraction here in SCCG, and Josh says, so now that you are in South Carolina Championship Wrestling, South Carolina, I'm getting so excited. Now that you were here in South Carolina...
You saw Liv Morgan come, and then you seen Mandy Rose, and now you're coming again.
Yeah, there's so many fluids just flying around on this show. And we had the G-Spot earlier with Chad Gable. This is just a TVMA show all of a sudden.
I mean, your show, it is Josh again.
Yeah.
You know what we should expect with Josh again.
This is the TAP. Tap on that pussy. Anyway, Anyway.
Stay tuned for Broken Moment Volume 2.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be the intro clip to that right there. Just me almost making Skylar choke to death. Just don't come, Skylar.
I'm good.
So basically he says...
Anyway, you were saying Toxic Attraction with Josh Matthews.
So Josh is like, so you're new to SCCG. What are your goals here in this promotion, seeing as how you were brand new? And Mandy's like, honestly, this women's division is just kind of sad. I mean, did you see what just happened out there? Look at our competition. We have Layla Hirsch, a Russian sympathizer, and Liv Morgan. And when she says Liv Morgan, Gigi Dolan behind her goes, ugh, and points to her mouth, making the vomit noise, because, you know, whenever I see Liv Morgan, that's how it makes me feel. Yeah. And she says, yeah, I just feel like this women's division needs a facelift. It needs some changing around. We basically need to establish this as an actual realistic division. And what better way than with the most dominant NXT women's champion of all time? The most dominant women's faction of all time, Toxic Attraction. So just a little warning to everyone in the women's division. Things are about to get a lot more toxic. And then she walks out. So basically Mandy and her allies basically putting the women's division on notice. They're going to take over the division.
Well, we'll see what happens.
And making fun of a few of the wrestlers. Specifically Layla and Liv. I mean, because
that's a must.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on from that, we have our third matchup: Ricky Starks versus Curtis Axel. What are your thoughts?
Right.
What are your predictions for this matchup, Skylar?
7 minutes, and in a complete and unmitigated disaster, Ricky Starks still wins.
Yeah. So, before this match even starts, before Ricky Starks can even make his entrance, because we cut from the backstage promo to the ring. Curtis Axel's already in the ring, and he's mad. So Curtis Axel picks up a microphone. He says, "How dare you focus on that backstage promo instead of my entrance? I am the son of Mr. Perfect. I am a technical wizard. I am a specimen, and I'm going to show all of you exactly what's going to happen when you cross me. Because I am Curtis Axel, I'm going to defeat Ricky Starks, so get out here right now. We got business to attend to." So Ricky Starks comes out, and he just has this, who the hell is this guy look on his face? And Ricky Starks grabs a microphone, he says, "I'm sorry, who are you again? Kurt, Michael, what's your name?" It doesn't matter. Wait a second.
Kurt Hawkins?
Kurt Hawkins? Who is this guy? Wait. Are you... wait a second. I recognize you. You're the son of Mr. Perfect? Wow. I don't think the apple could fall farther from the tree if it tried. I mean, if my progeny turned out to be anything like you, I would find a time machine, go back in time, and castrate myself. Just to spare the world of my progeny. So...
you didn't have to do that hard. God.
So, let's see what you've got, Mr. Perfect Jr., And so Ricky Starks throws the microphone down, and the match begins. But before they lock up, Ricky Starks is like, whoa, hang on. And out of his tights, he pulls out some gum. and he puts the gum in his mouth, chews it a little bit, spits it out, and slaps the gum in midair. Right in front of Curtis Axel. And Curtis gets what he's going for. Gets really mad. Goes for a clothesline. Ricky Starks ducks under it. Bounces off the ropes. Hits that beautiful flying spear. Curtis Axel bumps like crazy. Ricky Starks picks him up. Rochambeau. 1, 2, 3. This match went...
That was what? Maybe 1 minute? 2 minutes?
This match went 45 seconds.
Of course it did. You did not have to end Curtis Axel's life like that, man.
Well, I felt like I kind of had to, because one of the things about Ricky Starks, he has some promo ability, he can eviscerate people on the mic, and he is good in the ring. So, with this whole segment, I wanted to get him over strong with a 45-second win, and showing that he has personality and charisma, and just emasculating Curtis Axel.
I mean, if you're going to do it with anybody, it might as well be him. Like... That's what their jobbers are out there for. They're there to do the job.
Yeah. And I feel like Ricky Starks would just be really good at going at it verbally with people.
I mean, his stuff with MJF has proven that he can.
Oh, absolutely. He's great. And I have big things in store for Ricky Starks in the future. But here tonight, in his first match, he beats Curtis Axel in under a minute. So now, we move from that to our fourth matchup. Primo and Epico of We Weren't Entertained versus Mustache Mountain. Again, 15-minute time limit. How long does this match go, and who wins?
Alright, this match goes 8 minutes, and then what ends up happening is that all four guys start crowd brawling in the outside, and they crowd brawl, and then the referee calls for 20 count, and it rings the bell, and it disqualifies both teams, and then they both have to get fired and never come back again.
How did you know? No, okay. Important thing to note.
I'm going to pick Mustache Mountain in 8 minutes.
Important note, while they're making their entrance, because all of We Weren't Entertained comes out with Primo and Epico, but they're halfway down the ramp, and Anthony Corelli is like, oh, he stops him, he's like, okay. And he doesn't have a microphone, so you can't really hear what he's saying, but you can kind of tell what he's saying. He's basically saying to Primo and Epico, he's like, listen, us being out here kind of cost you at Clash of the Carolinas. So me, Ron, and Tyrus, we're going to go backstage. You guys do what you do best. We don't want to be a distraction. So... the other three members of We Weren't Entertained go backstage, and Primo and Epico face off against Mustache Mountain in their tag team match with no one in their corner, trying to see if Primo and Epico can get it done on their own. This match goes 6 minutes, and Tyler Bate pins Primo with a Tiger Driver 97.
Ooh, things are not gonna be good in the WWE land.
Nope. They didn't even last. It lasted 6 minutes, and it was basically a Mustache Mountain showcase, and Tyler Bate got the win because I liked Trent Seven, but Tyler Bate is definitely the star between those two.
I mean, he's the younger dude, and he's going to be the one that you can potentially use in the future. That ceiling that Tyler Bate has, I don't know how high it is, but it certainly is a ceiling. Yeah.
I mean, he can't reach it, but it's there. Because he's short. But anyway. So yeah, and things not looking good for Primo and Epico, especially after the backstage thing where they were trying to build some momentum for We Weren't Entertained. And then Anthony Corelli has all of them leave as to not distract them, but they lose anyway. So that's not good.
No, it ain't.
So now we go to an intermission, just some vignettes playing, crowd going to get some concessions, and we come back with our fifth matchup, first match of the mid-card. Ilya Dragunov versus Darby Allin. How long does this go, and who wins? And mid-card matches have a 20-minute time limit.
11 minutes, and I think you give it to Ilya.
Okay. I will say you throughout this show, you've been really close as far as like the time limits, because you've only been a minute off, because this match actually goes 12 minutes. So
I still get the prices right with.
Yes, you do. Tell him what he won, whatever you're... Drew Carey, what does Skylar win? A new car! Yay, do a dance. So... That was beautiful. So, these two, they go crazy. They are they're bouncing all over the place, taking crazy bumps. There is a suicide dive to the outside. It's insanity. Crowd's going nuts. And here's the finish. Darby Allin goes for the coffin drop, but Ilya Dragunov rolls out of the way, gets up, bounces off the ropes, red torpedo, 1, 2, 3, Ilya Dragunov pins Darby Allin and wins.
Now, let's be clear. What's the red torpedo again?
It's that insane flying headbutt that Ilya Dragunov does where he launches himself across the sky.
Okay, just to double check.
Yeah.
I do like Ilya as much as Darby Allin. The loss doesn't hurt him because, like, in many ways, this feels like a elimination match, and the winner will eventually get a cruiserweight title shot because that's the level of quality in this match.
Exactly.
And Ilya, I've always been high on him, especially that match with Gunther back when Gunther was still fat. It was Walter.
Yeah. Yeah, Gunther's what happened.
Like
Gunther's what happens when you put Walter in the dryer.
Oh. Well, I wonder what a match will look like between those two now, considering that Walter/Gunther is in much better shape.
Dude, imagine Walter versus Darby Allin.
Darby Allin has always wanted to die, so he will get the opportunity.
Yeah. I feel like those two might have had matches together on, like, the Independents. That probably has happened.
Well, we'll find out one day.
Yeah, and after this match...
Darby Allin is also one of those guys that I wish was in WWE. I don't think AEW is going to use him right.
What, you mean you don't like it when they give him the TNT Championship for 5 minutes just so he can lose it back to Samoa Joe for no reason? And then Samoa Joe loses it to Wardlow, who loses it to Powerhouse Will Hobbs the next day after someone steals it from him?
And Darby Allin working with Sting for no reason.
For years.
For no reason.
So, and backstage, all of a sudden, cut backstage, we're like, oh my god, something's happening backstage. Hook is getting into a brawl with Zack Sabre Jr., and he has him locked in Red Rum. And again, security is going nuts, and Taz on commentary is like, oh, damn it, son, what are you doing? And even John Cena, the general manager, has to come in and separate them. It's like, all right, enough. Stop, enough. And John gets in Hook's face, and he says, listen, I was considering you to be the next challenger for Zack Sabre Jr.'s Cruiserweight title. But if you touch him again, you can kiss that goodbye, and you'll go to the back of the line. Furthermore, if you touch him again, I might suspend you. So, treading on thin ice, Hook. I understand you're pissed, but control yourself. And Hook doesn't say anything, he just walks away, he's pissed. And Zack's like, yeah, you better run. Maybe when you're suspended, no one will be here to protect your dad. I'll stretch the shit out of him.
Oh.
So...
Well, is John Cena going to take lightly to Zack Sabre Jr. threatening his employee? I don't think so.
And John's like, hey, and you shut up. You stop that. Go back to your dressing room, cool off, enough. So it's just chaos backstage. But again, you can't blame Hook.
I will find your ass. I'm John Cena. You can't
do. So, yeah.
do yourself back to the locker room right now.
I can just imagine, like, him yelling at someone and, like, when someone starts yelling from behind, while he's turning around, John Cena goes, do, you stop it! Stop that right now! I want do to just become John Cena's nervous tick. Just, we now go to the Lord in prayer. Do.
On the sixth day of creation, God said, do.
On the 6 days of do. Oh, that's our general manager.
I was in the bathroom. You all know what I was making?
Do. I know. That's very good, Skylar. Jesus Christ, this went off the rails.
I know. There was a match with Liv Morgan and Layla Hirsch, and after Liv Morgan submitted, she went do.
That's okay.
I've killed the joke now.
The joke was dead before we started making it, but anyway.
You do.
So yeah, basically that whole thing was just because I want to put a no contact clause between Hook and Zack Sabre Jr. So Hook was in contention for the Cruiserweight title because he won his match against Ilya Dragunov on the pre-show of This is Spartanburg, but now he has to keep his anger in check, which is kind of hard to do because Zack Sabre Jr. kind of assaulted his father.
Right, and I mean, John Cena's not going to put up with either of their shit. Zack Sabre Jr., stop insulting my employees. Hook, stop assaulting my talent.
Yeah. So, and then we go to commercial. When we come back, we have a vignette from Tommy End, basically him knocking people out, being badass. And Tommy End says, I have a warning for John Morrison and everyone else in this company. Stay out of my way. If it wasn't for John Morrison, and if it wasn't for certain other people, I would be the World Heavyweight Champion, not Anthony Corelli. If it was a one-on-one match or one-on-one ladder match, I would have won. But John Morrison, you are a thorn in my side. And eventually, you are not going to have any other choice but to pay the boatman. It's time for you to visit the underworld, and I will drag you there kicking and screaming. And that's basically the end of the vignette.
Now, is your implication here that Tommy End is supernatural in any way?
He's going to have a gothic vibe to him, but he's not going to be like teleporting or the camera's just going to go black and all of a sudden he's somewhere else and all that dumb shit. There's going to be hints of it, but it's not going to get super gimmicky.
Okay, so you're not going to do anything like have him magically turn the lights off and then have him appear from nowhere. You're not going to have druids take him out of a casket or anything like that?
No. I'm not going to have him shoot lightning from somewhere in the arena.
I don't know how for years we thought that The Undertaker could do that.
Because wrestling is fun. And speaking of
Although,
fun...
I will say, if there's anybody that could do it, it was going to be Mark Calloway.
Yeah, The Undertaker's the one guy that could pull that kind of shit off.
And Kane for a little bit of time.
And another thing is, it worked better when they didn't use... Like, when they were using it to build up matches, it was fine. But whenever they tried to use it, like, during matches... Like, remember when Alexa Bliss used the Force to have a lighting rig fall down and almost hit Randy Orton?
Yeah. Or the time that Bray Wyatt had a match with Randy Orton and, like, the shit was starting to be set on fire for no reason.
Anytime Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton were within 5 feet of each other, and it was my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, I know. Randy Orton should have gone do.
So anyway...
Watch how they're going to try and make Uncle Howdy versus Randy Orton happen in 2023.
Stop! Jesus. So they are never going to stop with those two. The second Randy Orton comes back, the first person he's going to feud with is Randy Orton. Mark my words.
I'm waiting for it.
It's going to be terrible.
I'm waiting for it.
So anyway, Josh Matthews is backstage once again. He says, joining me at this time, another newcomer to SCCG, The Miz. And The Miz walks up. He has a suit on. He's smiling. He has a glass. And he's like, you look familiar. Have I ever seen you before? Your name's Josh Matthews? And he was like, yeah, I used to work for SmackDown back in the day. And he was like, well, that's cool, I guess. And Josh is like, well, you're here in SCCG now, and just like I asked Mandy Rose earlier what her plans were, what are your plans for SCCG? And The Miz is like, well, I mean, I've heard that there's a lot of controversy surrounding this place, a lot of intrigue, and I feel like this place could do with a little bit of some A-list celebrity, you know what I'm saying? Came down here, there's a lot of talent down here, and I want that world championship, man. I want The Miz as the SCCG World Heavyweight Champion. Dude, when that happens, you can make a movie out of it. It would make so much money at the box office. Get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maurice would be happy. Everyone would be happy. It would just be the greatest thing ever. And what the hell are you want? What are you doing out here? And the camera pans, and just walking nearby, not really doing anything, is Ricky Starks, who's calming down from his match earlier. And Josh Matthews is like, Ricky Starks, and Miz is like, no, this promo's for me, and I saw what you did earlier, by the way, Ricky, and it was impressive how you shut down Curtis Axel. And Ricky's like, well, thank you, Miz. It's nice to meet you, and they shake hands, and the Miz is like, you know, I've seen some of your stuff outside of SCCG. I'm not super crazy about you just, you know, casually interrupting my promo, but I see a ton of potential in you, Ricky. I can see why you call yourself Absolute. I mean, let's just say, like, hypothetically, if we were together as a tag team, it would be absolutely awesome. Can you feel that? The energy in that? The crowd would love it. And tell you what, Ricky. Next week, I've already talked to John Cena about this, and he's cool with it. Next week, on episode 14 of Palmetto Power, is going to be the newest edition of Miz TV. Ricky Starks, would you like to be my guest on Miz TV? And Ricky's like, you know, I don't have any problem with that. Sounds interesting. See you next week, Miz. And Ricky Starks walks off, and the Miz is like, oh, I'm so excited. Times are changing, it's going to be hype. Nothing but hype, ladies and gentlemen. And then the Miz just leaves, being overly excited.
As he do.
So, next week on Palmetto Power, we're going to have a Miz TV segment with Ricky Starks.
This is going to be interesting, because this is a weird... When you presented this idea, I'm like, I don't know if I want it, but I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to hope that it goes for something good.
I feel like, in real life, I feel like they could have some fun promos, depending on what material they had to work with.
Yeah.
And this is my backup plan, because my original plan was to have Ricky Starks start feuding with Rey Mysterio, but someone took Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah, but I needed Rey Mysterio in order to finish my feud with Dom Dom.
Yeah, and they totally aren't doing the exact same thing at WrestleMania in a couple days. Doesn't that make you feel great that they steal your stuff, Skylar?
I mean, to be fair, like, they were probably going to plan this stuff way before I ever tried to book them.
True. That pop, by the way, when Ray popped Dom on SmackDown this past week, not the loudest pop ever, but it was pretty damn loud.
Again, Dominic Mysterio's career has been saved by him being a heel.
Exactly. And I am looking for... I don't think the match will be as good as everyone thinks it will be, because Dominic is still kind of green in the ring, but I do think it will be interesting to watch.
I think this is like the real test, because obviously the promos have been really good, but we need to see whether or not Dom can deliver and whether he can put on a match at least to the quality necessary in order to be involved at WrestleMania in a mid-card situation. And again, his dad is going to try and carry him as best he can.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see if he's more Rey Mysterio or more Eddie Guerrero.
Speaking of which, how many Three Amigos are going to be attempted and countered in frog splashes, and Eddie Guerrero was a thing. Did you know that Eddie Guerrero was a thing? How much of that is going to be in their match?
Yes.
Just the entire match, from start to finish. It's going to be non-stop exturbation.
They're going to raise Eddie Guerrero from the ground. He's going to get up, and the first thing he's going to do is Three Amigos Ray. Then afterwards, he's going to get that to his son. He's going to go to his ear. You want he's going to whisper to his son's ear?
What?
Do.
Stop! And then he goes to the main event, cashes in Money in the Bank that we didn't know he had, and Eddie Guerrero's the World Heavyweight Champion. Eddie Guerrero's the one that beats Roman Reigns. Anyway.
Fan fiction.
Fan fiction, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, up next, match 6. We have a championship match. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, the Gold Business, defending the SCCG Tag Team Championships against Ron Killings and Tyrus of We Weren't Entertained. 20-minute time limit. How long does this match go, and who wins?
I'm going to predict that things are going to continue to suck for the WWE land, and Gold Business retains in a 12-minute match.
Okay, this match goes 7 minutes. And when they start, Primo and Epico are nowhere to be seen, but Anthony Corelli is at ringside for Ron Killings and Tyrus, and they all look displeased because of what happened earlier. But during the match, Primo and Epico do come out like halfway through the match, and they are at ringside, and Anthony's like, I don't think this is... You might distract them. He's not super sure about them being out here. So, so the match is continuing, and Cedric is starting to gain control over Ron Killings. He's starting to build some momentum. So Epico gets up on the apron and starts distracting the referee. And while he does that, Primo gets on the apron and punches Cedric right in the face. However, the referee just happened to see that out of the corner of his eye. He saw Cedric fall down, and he quickly puts 2 and 2 together. And he's yelling at Primo and Epico, and they're like, oh, I didn't do anything. The referee calls for the disqualification.
Uh-oh.
Ron Killings and Tyrus have been disqualified because of Primo and Epico, and they will not be the tag team champions.
Uh-oh.
Anthony Corelli is furious, and he just doesn't say anything. He just leaves. He walks back up the ramp and leaves. Tyrus and Ron Killings are screaming at Primo and Epico like, what the hell's wrong with you? We had this in the bag. You just ruined everything. Meanwhile, Shelton and Cedric are celebrating. And then the four of them are like, you know what, let's just try to salvage this. So then they start beating up the tag team champions. Tyrus, Ron, Primo and Epco, they're beating up the tag team champions. When all of a sudden, Braun Strowman runs out.
Oh no.
Braun Strowman runs out and immediately Ron Killings runs. And Tyrus gets knocked out of the ring by Braun Strowman. And Primo and Epco are trying to fight back. They're both punching Braun Strowman, but he just overpowers both of them, does a double choke slam. Picks them both up, he power bombs one at a time. Starts roaring. The tag team champions get back up, and they're all so basically Braun and the Gold Business are all posing in the ring, while we weren't entertained as scampering up the stage trying to escape.
What a way to reintroduce Braun Strowman to your company.
Oh yeah, especially because Tyrus was the one who injured him at Rage in a Cage at SummerSlam.
Long-term story planning.
Exactly. And again, I know that might be a little surprising considering that I'm not the biggest fan of Braun Strowman, but again, I want to emphasize, ever since he came back last year, he's been I personally think his look is better, his moveset is better, and I just feel like he all around is just better in the ring.
He's become a better wrestler.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a better person. We're still working on that.
Yeah. But in the ring, he's a lot better. Progress, and I am trying to respect that here. And he's a big dude, and there's a novelty for having big guys on your roster, and he's one of them.
I like big sweaty men.
Yeah, me too. And also, I want to get over that the power bomb is his move now, not just that shitty power slam.
Fair.
Because his power bomb does look devastating because of how big he is.
Yeah.
All right, so we are backstage again, and at the microphone is the SCCG Internet Champion, Samoa Joe. And he says, Georgia, what's up? It is your Internet Champion, the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. Did you see what I did at This is Spartanburg, ladies and gentlemen? I put out the Rainmaker. I canceled that party, and he's no longer associated with the company. Funny how that works. At SummerSlam, I beat Ted DiBiase for the Internet Championship. He doesn't work here anymore. Okada, I beat him at This is Spartanburg. He doesn't work here anymore. Basically, if you tangle with Joe, you're about to go. And tonight, in our Championship Contenders Scramble match, I'm going to choke out each and every single person. And I'm going to go to Clash of the Carolinas, and I'm going to be both the Internet Champion and the World Heavyweight Champion. And all of you are going to know that I am the most devastating, dangerous entity in the history of professional wrestling. Thus saith me, Samoa Joe. And he just walks off.
Samoa Joe on a rampage. Gonna be double champion.
Well, if he's on Rampage, no one's going to watch it. Because
I said on a rampage, not on Rampage.
Well, let's hope not, because we want him on a show that people actually watch, because, he's quite good. I still feel bad because that match that he had with Wardlow at Revolution was so disappointing. And the
it could have been better.
And the finish of that match was the most wet fart, just nothing thing ever. It was sad. Samoa Joe deserves better.
Everyone deserves better.
So moving on, we have our main event of the mid-card, Match 7. Piper Niven versus Mercedes Martinez, SCCG Women's Championship #1 contender match. Who do you have winning and challenging Meiko Satomura? And how long does this go?
Give me the Piper.
Give you the
Give
Piper?
me the Piper in 12 minutes.
Okay, and before the match starts, we do have a little bit of a recap, basically showing how at This is Spartanburg, she attacked both Mercedes and Meiko after the match and busted Meiko open. And we also get told on commentary that Meiko Satomura is not here at the show tonight. She's dealing with the injury that she suffered. It's not a severe injury. She's not going to miss a lot of time. But she's not available for this episode of Palmetto Power. So, and again, she got busted open at the show, which was surprising. So we have Piper Niven versus Mercedes Martinez. And this match goes 10 minutes. And here's the finish. And during a lot of the match, it's been Piper Niven just overpowering Mercedes. Mercedes is trying to get some moves in here and there, trying to be a scrappy underdog. But during this match, Mercedes runs at Piper on the outside, and Piper uses her momentum and throws her head first into the corner of the ring steps. And Mercedes comes up, and Mercedes Martinez is busted open, and she's bleeding. And Piper just goes an all-out assault on Mercedes Martinez, and even gives her the Piper driver on the floor outside the ring. Throws her back into the ring, and goes to the top rope, and Piper Niven does a Vader bomb on Mercedes Martinez. Cover 1, 2, but Piper pulls up Mercedes' head and says, "Not yet, I'm not done." Piper goes up, another Vader bomb. Gets up and does a third Vader bomb. And finally, the referee's had enough, pushes Piper Niven off of Mercedes, and calls for the bell. Piper Niven wins via ref stoppage.
Oof.
And Piper Niven goes over, gets some of the blood off of Mercedes, and wipes it on her chest and starts licking her fingers. And she demands the microphone. So Piper has the microphone. She says, "You see that? That's what you deserve, Maiko. That's what you deserve, Mercedes, for stealing my championship and getting in my way, for having the audacity to be obstacles in my path, in my ascension here in SCCG. So here's what we're going to do. I don't think you're done bleeding yet, Maiko. At Clash of the Carolinas, I don't want you in a regular match. I want you in a first blood match for your championship. And if you have a spine, you old hag, you'll accept." And she throws down the microphone and does that dust-kicking thing, like to mark her territory, at Mercedes Martinez, who's being looked at by doctors as she leaves. And that's the end of the mid-card.
Oof. This is really, like, again, you're talking about one of the most dangerous women that potentially could exist in wrestling. I just wish that,
this was more like what they actually do with her?
Yes.
I do too. This is what she should be. She should basically be Godzilla. And what are your thoughts on that? That she, and I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. It is going to be Piper Niven versus Maiko for the women's championship in a first blood match at Clash of the Carolinas.
I think this is a good match. I have questions about a fake blood match, but a first blood match, a fake blood, a first blood match. But we'll see what happens. There is potential here.
What I'm using this for is I'm trying to get Piper over as a bloodthirsty maniac.
Well.
Yeah. So, anyway, that is a match that is going to be built up to over the next several episodes. But up next, we have another. We go to another break. Fans go to concessions. Some video packages hyping up the next show. Yada yada yada. Even some stuff hyping up NWL and ACPW because you have some good stuff going on over there. And then we come to our main event. John Morrison versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Tommy End versus Samoa Joe versus Bray Wyatt versus Naito versus ... in a 6-man contendership scramble match. Winner gets Anthony Corelli at Clash of the Carolinas. Who becomes number 1 contender?
You have to go with Vacant, right?
Perhaps.
You have to go with the man who has always been undefeated champion in every promotion, who's really stood above the test of time. It has to be Vacant.
Vacant is a nasty, just relentless bastard. You never know what Vacant's going to pull out of his ass. So,
well, we'll find out.
This match starts off with John Morrison and Tommy End.
Ooh.
So for 5 minutes, these two go one-on-one, but no pinfall or submission happens. It's just these two going at it. And again, they're basically even for this, because I am also trying to push a feud between these two, because I feel like a feud between John Morrison and Tommy End taken seriously would be quite good. Especially considering that they've got some good striking moves. So the third man to enter this match, after the first 5-minute period, is the Internet Champion Samoa Joe. So we have Joe, Morrison, and Tommy End. And Joe just starts off with a huge clothesline turning Morrison inside out. And he starts working over both of them. But then, again, over this 5-minute period, we're 10 minutes in, no pinfalls or submissions have happened yet, despite some attempts. So the fourth man enters, and it is Tetsuya Naito. But Naito doesn't enter the ring yet. He's just basically watching the carnage unfold. And at this point, Samoa Joe actually does hit a muscle buster on John Morrison. And he goes for the cover. 1, 2, but before the 3, Naito gets in and kicks Joe right in the face. Gets him right in the face. So Joe's like, oh, my face. So he picks up Joe, and Naito hits Destino on Samoa Joe. Cover 1, 2, 3. The first person to become the current number 1 contender is Tetsuya Naito.
Ooh, so interesting choice.
Naito has pinned Samoa Joe, but while he's celebrating, he's doing that one eye open taunt that he always does. He turns around, gets caught with Infinite Darkness from Tommy End. Cover 1, 2, 3. Tommy End is now the current number 1 contender.
Ooh.
Don't get too cocky, especially when there are multiple other people in the match. So then, the fifth man to enter this contest is Bray Wyatt. He gets in there, they're brawling a little bit, and everyone gets thrown outside.
Which version of Bray Wyatt are we talking?
Oh, it's just Swamp Bray Wyatt. It's regular Swamp Bray Wyatt. No children in sight. No children in sight.
No demons, no exorcists.
No. So he gets in there and he hits Tetsuya Naito. Well, actually, he hits John Morrison with Sister Abigail and spikes John Morrison, and he takes a nasty-looking bump for it. But before he can go for the cover, Naito tries to fight him, and he goes for Destino. But mid-Destino, Wyatt counters it in mid-air with another Sister Abigail, covers Naito 1, 2, 3, and now Wyatt is the current number 1 contender. However, Samoa Joe gets Bray Wyatt in the Coquina Clutch, and while he has him in the Coquina Clutch, Morrison does Starship Pain on top of both men and covers Bray Wyatt, because he hits both of them, knocks Wyatt out of the submission hold, and it hurts Joe. But he covers Bray Wyatt 1, 2, 3. Now Morrison is the current number 1 contender. But now we only have 5 more minutes in this match, and our final competitor enters the ring, and it is Shinsuke Nakamura.
Whoa!
Exactly. So we have our 6 competitors. They're all trying to get that desperate last pinfall. And here's the finish. Tommy End hits Bray Wyatt with Infinite Darkness. But before he can go for the cover, Nakamura gives him a huge Bomier knee strike, and I'm not gonna call it the Kinshasa. I'm gonna call it the Bomier because I just like the Bomier better. So he hits him with a Bomier, knocks him out of the ring, covers Bray Wyatt 1, 2, 3, and the clock runs out. Your winner and number 1 contender is Shinsuke Nakamura.
I like it.
So your World Championship match at Clash of the Carolinas is going to be Anthony Corelli defending against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, that's another match I'd love to see in real life.
Yeah.
Santino Marella was serious.
Yeah, a serious Santino versus the King of Strong Style. And we don't have Anthony come out because he's been on the show several times up to this point. He doesn't come out and pose. We just have Nakamura celebrating his victory. We have some of the people eyeballing each other. We have Joe eyeballing Naito. We have Morrison and End eyeballing each other. And then we fade to black, and that is our show.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt eyeing himself because he's been knocked the fuck out.
No, he's eyeballing the children in the front row.
No, he's not a rapist.
That we know of.
That we know of.
So, what are your thoughts on episode 13 of Palmetto Power?
Again, having a better roster helps.
Yeah.
It's definitely more current, and especially like those last 3 or 4 matches, the possibilities that you present in those matches. Again, Ilya Dragunov versus Darby Allin would be a WCW Cruiserweight division in the modern times done right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of interesting things that you have done in this episode that establishes your next season. That makes me want to come back and see more.
Exactly. And real quick, the reason why I had Naito pin Joe is so I can have Naito say, I pinned the Internet Champion, and you know what that means? We're going to have Samoa Joe versus Naito for the Internet Championship at a point.
Right, you know, you gotta sell the future feuds, and having the mid-card champion be in there, get pinned, he didn't lose the title, but now whoever pinned him can have something on him.
Exactly. And Naito's the only person that got a pinfall on Joe.
I know, and Joe's not gonna be happy about it.
No, he is not. Can he choke out another bitch and send him packing from SCCG?
Well, we'll find out.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this insanity. I'm glad we got all the way through with this without any emergencies or my mom interrupting, because I heard my mom enter the house while I was recording. I was like, Mom, please don't. And no fires being set because I wasn't trying to cook anything. For example, my fingers. But
or Bray Wyatt setting fire to something.
Like children. No, introducing Bray Wyatt's flammable children. I don't know where this is going, but thank you guys so much for listening.
We should end the show now before we get canceled.
Yes, absolutely. Go subscribe to the Court Martial Podcast. Go listen to their newest episode of ACPW versus NWL. See you guys on the next episode of Palmetto Power. Good night, everybody.